At first, it was just a flicker, a blip on a monitor that had long been ignored by the world. To anyone else, it would have been a meaningless noise, but to Elliot Carter, it was an unmistakable signature of an event he had long feared and hoped would never come. It wasn't just another star collapsing into oblivion. This was something far deadlier, a gamma ray burst, one of the most destructive forces in the universe. It's a beam of energy equivalent to 1,000 suns traveling across the universe at the speed of light, aimed directly at Earth. A phenomenon so rare, yet so devastating, that no civilization had ever survived its wrath. But Elliot, he wasn't just any astrophysicist. He was a man haunted by a mission, a solitary figure who had spent years tracking the movement of distant stars, convinced that one day the universe would turn its gaze on us. And now, that day had come. The message was clear, the timeline even clearer. In 48 hours, the Earth would face an extinction level event. But as Elliot sent out his warnings, the world wasn't ready to listen. Political factions hesitated, scrambling to protect their own. It wasn't the cosmos that would doom us, it was ourselves. As the reality of gamma ray burst sank in, humanity faced a stark choice: either act decisively or face extinction. Scientists proposed a solution that sounded more like science fiction, but in this moment, fiction was all they had left.
We have three potential strategies: deflect the gamma ray burst, dissipate its energy, or shield the Earth. Each comes with immense challenges, but time is not on our side.
Deflection would require an energy output larger than anything we've ever generated.
We'd also risk fragmenting the burst, creating multiple beams that could hit Earth anyway. It's too dangerous to gamble on.
High-altitude dispersion of aerosols could scatter the gamma rays, reducing their intensity. It's similar to how volcanic ash can cool the planet. But scaling this globally?
It's unpredictable. The burst's intensity might overwhelm any scattering effect. At best, we'd mitigate a small fraction of the damage.
The final option, a multi-layered shield. We deploy satellites equipped with reflective surfaces to deflect the gamma rays and enhance Earth's magnetosphere to absorb the remaining energy. The moon's alignment will provide natural shielding for part of the planet.
It was audacious, risky, and unprecedented. The shield would require a global effort, repurposing satellites, deploying new technology, and coordinating like never before. The shield was a marvel of human ingenuity, a multi-layered defense system that had been theorized for decades but never attempted on this scale. At its core was the idea of using Earth's natural defenses, the atmosphere, the magnetic field, and even the moon, enhancing by cutting-edge technology to absorb or deflect the gamma ray burst's energy. The first layer of the shield was the orbital, a fleet of satellites repurposed and new launched, equipped with reflective surfaces to scatter the gamma rays. These satellites, positioned at a key points in the orbit, would act as a mirror network, deflecting a fraction of deadly radiations away from Earth. Second layer was the atmospheric. High-altitude drones released a cocktail of aerosols into the stratosphere. These particles, similar to those ejected during the volcanic eruption, would create temporary reflective barrier, further reducing the intensity of the radiation that reached the surface. But the most critical component of the shield was the one that required no engineering at all: the moon. Its natural alignment with Earth during the event provided a shadow that shielded a significant portion of the planet. Scientists fine-tuned satellite positions to maximize this effect, creating a synergy between the Earth's celestial neighbor and human innovation. And then there was a final shield, Earth's own magnetic field, a natural barrier strong enough to deflect charged particles, but never tested against something of this magnitude. Scientists devised a way to temporarily amplify its strengths using ionospheric injections powered by satellites. It's a gamble, one that could destabilize global communication, but there was no other choice. Together, these layers formed humanity's first planetary shield, a fragile web of science, luck, and unprecedented collaboration. Every team, every calculation had to work precisely, and all of it hinged on the alignment of a single celestial object, the moon. But humanity's greatest threat wasn't just the gamma ray burst, it was itself. As Elliot's warnings reached world leaders, the response was far from united. Countries prioritized their own survival, hoarding resources, and debating who would control the shield's deployment. With just 36 hours left, global collaboration seemed like an impossible dream. For Elliot, worlds infighting was a nightmare come true. The clock was ticking, and every second wasted brought Earth closer to annihilation.
Leaked documents reveal that only select regions may benefit from the orbital shield, sparking accusations of favoritism and mistrust.
With resources stretched thin, some governments are refusing to contribute, demanding guarantees that their territories will be protected.
Protests erupt as citizens demand answers. Why should we trust other nations to handle a crisis of this scale?
And amidst the chaos, a small group of scientists and diplomats from opposing factions began to rally together. They called themselves the Vanguard, a last-ditch effort to bridge political divides and focus on mission at hand. Using encrypted channels, the Vanguard bypassed bureaucracy, pooling resources and knowledge. They proposed a radical solution, a decentralized control system for the shield, ensuring no single nation held the ultimate power. It was a gamble, and it required unprecedented trust. But as the clock struck 24 hours to impact, the first crack in the geopolitical deadlock began to fade. With the world watching, humanity made its choice. For the first time in the history, nations set aside their differences and acted as one species. The shield was activated, and now all they could do was wait. The final 24 hours? Every moment was delicate balance of hope and fear. Shield's framework was ready, but doubts lingered. Would the satellite hold its position? Would the aerosols disperse correctly? Or would the moon's shadow align as planned? For Elliot, this was no longer about equations or predictions. It was about the survival. The burst was approaching faster than anticipated, its energy readings higher than any model had predicted. The world held its breath. For some, it was a time for reflection. For others, a time for anger. Yet across every corner of the planet, one truth remained. Humanity stood on the edge of oblivion. Every system was pushed to its limit. The Vanguard worked tirelessly, fine-tuning the shield in real time. Even a minor miscalculation could mean disaster. Everything was in place. The satellite, the aerosols, the magnetic field amplifiers, all primed. The world braced for the burst. And then it came. The impact was nothing like the planet had ever faced. The satellite strained under the energy, with some burning out completely. The aerosols glowed as they scattered the radiation, their delicate balance threatening to collapse, and Earth's magnetic field pulsed with unimaginable force, bending but not breaking. And against all odds, humanity had done it. The shield held, the Earth was saved. But this was no miracle. It was the triumph of science, collaboration, and unyielding human spirit. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, a fragile peace settled over the Earth. The gamma ray burst had passed, leaving behind a planet forever changed, not by destruction, but by resilience of its own people. In the aftermath, nations set aside their differences, if only briefly, united by the realization that our survival depends on collaboration. For a fleeting moment, borders dissolved and humanity stood as one. The shield wasn't perfect. Part of the planets experienced radiation spikes, disrupting ecosystems and lives. But it was a start, a prototype for future defense against cosmic threats. It wasn't the end of our challenges, it was the beginning of a new era of preparation. Gamma ray burst was a wake-up call. We realized that our survival is tied to understanding the cosmos, not just as a source of wonder, but as a source of potential peril. The gamma ray burst was not just a story of survival, it was a story of unity, of science, and of hope. It reminded us that while we are fragile, we are also capable of incredible resilience. The universe is vast and unpredictable, but as long as we stand together, we can face whatever lies ahead. Thanks for watching.